Arbiter is a phenomenal champion for the arena. She brings increased attack, she brings turn meter boost, and she brings an AoE revive. She also has one of the best speed auras in the game and one of the fastest base speeds. An insane champion like this can be very daunting for a lot of players, but in this video, I show you how to counter her. In my time playing Raid Shadow Legends, I've never actually found a proper guide on how to counter certain champions in certain areas of the game, predominantly Arena, which is the PvP focused area. This video is going to be exactly that, and hopefully a long series of videos showing you guys how to counter different champions or teams. Today we're starting with the classic Arena champion, which is going to be Arbiter. The tips and tricks covered in this video, of course, will extend to other very good speed leads like people like Prince Kaimar, for example. It's all going to extend. This one is basically just focused on Arbiter, however. So I came up with 5 ways that you can actually beat Arbiter in the arena. The first tip, which is to have a correctly speed-tuned team. This is super important because there's going to be footage running in the background even that will show some of the battles that I've had where teams aren't properly speed tuned. So you'll have an enemy Arbiter that's going at like 340 and then their nuker or their decreased defense is way too slow to actually keep up. So what ended up happening is my Arbiter is able to cut in and we win the battle. You need to make sure that you're tuning properly so that people can't cut in once you get that turn, and that is more important, I would say, than being fast and having the first turn. There's a couple tools that you can use to do this. I'm not just going to throw you under the bus. I'm going to leave a link down below to the Deadwood Jedi speed tuning tool for Arena, and you can go ahead, throw your champions in there, throw their skills in there, their auras, everything like that. Is a phenomenal tool. Everybody should be using this. I recently made use of it myself to get my Deacon Armstrong a little bit faster so that he can't be cut in after Arbiter takes her turn. This is crucial, and this is, like I say, far more important than even getting the first turn, because if you're able to cut in, and we talked about this a little bit later too in tip number 3, I believe, but if you're able to cut in, you're going to be good to go. So just something to keep in mind. Tip number 2 is actually what I just alluded to. It's going to be using champions that can cut in. So the 2 most predominant examples of this in the game would be Valkyrie from the Barbarians and Yoshi from the Shadowkin. I understand that these are both legendary champions. There was a Yoshi fusion a while ago, and I kind of was a little bit wrong about him. He does turn out to be useful, but they both have passives that can boost their own turn meter under certain requirements. So both of these champions can actually cut in and mess up the enemy team. Valkyrie is amazing because she can cut in and place a shield and counterattack, and if she is built correctly, she can actually be your arena nuker as well. Yoshi actually cuts in, and what he does instead is he places a true fear on people, a higher chance of placing it if they have an increased attack. So if Arbiter goes and then he cuts in, everybody's going to have increased attack. His chance of placing a true fear is there, right? Between the 2, I would say Valkyrie is much stronger because with Yoshi, you're taking a chance to cut in and have a chance of placing a debuff that's going to have a chance of activating and actually doing anything, right? Because I believe the chance to activate on a true fear is 50-50. If it does activate, for anyone who doesn't know, it puts the skill on cooldown that they tried to use. If it doesn't activate, they're just going to get their turn as normal. But in a team where you have Arbiter and 3 other champions, the chances of True Fear activating are very good, either on their decreased defense or either on their nuker or on their flex champion, right? So very important to have a champion that can cut in if you need to beat a speedy Arbiter. The next tip, which is tip number 3, is going to be using a go second or a tanky team. A perfect example of a go second team would be using somebody like Arbiter as your reviver, rocking her with like 7k defense and a bunch of HP, having everyone else on your team get nuked down, Cardinal reviving, and then sending everyone to their grave, right? Because she revives everyone on your team to max max turn meter with 25% HP, something around that area. Super useful champion. So if you can make her be a very tanky champion, it'll be good to go. Another option for a tanky team is somebody like Ursuga the Warcaller or something like that. She's the barbarian legendary that I don't have myself, but she's absorbing damage. Duchess also has a AoE damage mitigation, essentially, so that their nuker won't be quite as strong against you. Even somebody like Helior is going to be bringing damage to himself if the enemy has more than 2 debuffs on your team, right? So if you pair those people with a Guardian set, and some of the masteries, they're pulling in like 50% of the damage everybody else will be taking. You can then pair that with somebody like a Vogoth, who when he takes the damage, even if he's in a Guardian set, right, he's going to heal everybody by 50% of the damage he receives, which is insane. So definitely having a tanky or a go second team is a very crucial strategy. It's definitely one of the bigger strategies out there for countering teams with Arbiter on them. The fourth option, which some people aren't going to like, is be faster. I don't have to explain this one a whole lot. The whole theory revolves around just being faster than the enemy team and getting the first turn, making sure everybody's speed tuned and that you can just nuke them down before they even have a full turn meter. That's all. Moving on to the next one. The fifth option and the final option is going to be using sets like Swift Parry, Provoke sets, any sort of Provoke skills. I can't remember the name of the set, but there is actually a set that has a chance of blocking freeze debuffs and placing those on the attacker. So any sort of crowd control skills that can activate are going to be super important in Arena, especially if you're building a tanky or a go second team. If you have somebody like Molly, she provokes for 2 turns, I believe it is. Any incoming damage is also getting reflected. And on top of that, she is boosting your ally's turn meter every time she gets hit. So that is an amazing skill. Rockbreaker from the Dwarves is also an epic that I quite like for the arena. He has an AoE provoke. It's not a hit, it just places. So if you can build him tanky, he's also then counterattacking, which if you have him in any other sort of crowd control set, he's then proccing that, right? So if you have him in a freeze set, if you have him in a stun set, anything like that, he's going to activate it right on those counterattacks. He's also boosting his defense every time he counterattacks. An insane champion. I might end up making a champion guide for him. This isn't really a champion guide video though, so we won't talk too much about him, but basically any sort of crowd control set. And the key is that it has to be able to activate either through a skill, because if you're trying to put a stun set on your AoE nuker, that kind of mitigates the whole point of beating the Arbiter, right? Because you're still not going to be fast enough in most cases. And if your nuker's in something like a stun set instead of a savage set or cruel sets, anything like that, it's going to do less damage as well. So just something to keep in mind. I hope somebody finds this video useful. Like I say, I could not find anything online on how to do it. Just before you guys head off, let me know if it was useful, and more importantly, would you guys like this to be a reoccurring series? And on top of that, if so, what champion would you like me to cover next, or what team comp would you like me to cover? Anything like that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys in the next video.